I believe the universe has a message for you, especially if you're a leader. It's so strikingly obvious. How could I have missed it? The very thing we're all trying to prevent, when reversed, holds a massive lesson for every leader. In fact, for everyone who wants to make an impact on the world. Intrigued? You see, we've all been focused on infection rates, flattened curves, and social distancing for the last year and a half. But these are three concepts that, when turned around, could change the way you think about your leadership. Our world right now is about reducing our interactions and exposure to one another through social distancing efforts. This reduces infection rates and results in a flattened curve. We've all suddenly become aware of the ripple effect of our individual interactions. If you're like me, before this crisis, you never really contemplated how your interaction with a random stranger at the grocery store could impact hundreds of people and lives downstream. We've all seen the graphics in social media, how limiting our exposure incrementally saves lives exponentially. And then it hit me. Isn't this exactly the opposite of how we need to think of our role as a leader? It's not just about what you do and say as a boss, executive, or team quarterback, but the downstream impact you could have, the ripple effect. Consider that the same effect, only hopefully in a positive way, could be happening through your leadership interactions. The impact you have on your team members, colleagues, and clients will infect those they come in contact with. Every interaction, every word, every shared moment will indelibly affect the person sharing that moment with you. It will influence and change them in such a way as to alter their next interaction, which will influence all subsequent interactions. This is a daunting but powerful thought. Rather than subtraction, we need to think about multiplication. I call this the pebble in the pond effect. You are the pebble. The only thing, the only one you control is you. That's all you have, but that's enough. The sum total of who you are, your character, your mission, and your message, and your motive is the granite that makes your pebble. And the pond is the cumulative total of the lives you interact with, beyond what you see before you. It all starts with just jumping in and making a splash. But know that that splash you make will create a ripple that keeps going. You likely know this to be true. We can all think of both great and terrible leaders we've had. Maybe you've had a particularly memorable boss that mentored and inspired you. Perhaps you had the manager from hell. Both had an impact in you, and both shaped you. You may have learned from the situation, I want to do this, or I'll never do that. Either way, you were changed. And you brought those lessons that way to be into your own leadership practice. And you're passing that along to your people. Yes, you're infecting them with your own leadership. And they will pass this along to others, their teams, their families, their colleagues, and their friends. You can't stop it. It's called an impact. You've put your social fingerprint on them. You've spread your leadership virus, positive or negative. So how does that hit you? A wee bit sobering, an aha moment of sorts? It was for me. Here's what dawned on me. First, every interaction counts. Like it or not, every interaction counts. Suddenly, I feel a whole lot more aware of how my temperament, tone, words, and actions affect those around me. But it's not a message of shame, it's a message of empowerment. I can really make a lifelong lasting impact far beyond what I'll ever see. How do I make every interaction count? I need to lead and live with intentionality. Second fact is I need to be a better pebble. I want to be a better pebble. If I'm going to have an impact, if I'm going to infect every person I meet, I had better get my game on. I had better be the best version of me I can. Third, it makes me want to have an even bigger impact. I want to be a bigger pebble. If this is all true, then it must also be true that I have something to offer. If that's the case, this is my raison d'etre. So who wouldn't want to do more, help more, influence more, accomplish more, and give more? And since I only control me, I'd better get working on me. There are ways that I need to learn and grow to contribute even more. And lastly, I want a bigger pond. If I'm a bigger, better pebble, then I want to jump into a bigger pond. I'm starting to look past my first degree connections to the third, fourth, and beyond. How do I bring more people into my network? How can I invite others into my sphere of influence to speak into their lives? This is a life of contribution. This is a life of possibility. So jump in, make a splash, have an impact, polish your pebble, remove the rough edges, and jump in mindfully with both feet. Watch the ripples roll. Go infect someone with your leadership, then watch them pass it on. Thank the universe for using something so egregious to teach us a life-altering lesson of leadership. Your calling is to make an impact, a contribution. See how far the ripples will go. Jump in. I'm Mark Frizzell.